This video is sponsored by Surfshark. Van life in the UK is at an all-time low, with rising tensions in cities across the nation between locals and van dwellers.
Or what's being described as Britain's hidden housing crisis.
No example of this is more pronounced than Bristol in the southwest of England, where there is reportedly up to 650 vans, with up to 800 people living in them in and around the city.
You'll be surprised at what we're about to go and experience, I should imagine.
Recent dramatic events have caused local authorities to re-evaluate the situation and come up with new solutions to tackle the housing crisis.
So what's happened recently on the news is a caravan's been burnt down.
In this video, we visit Bristol and explore the past and potential future of van life in the UK.
What are the two things that Bristol Council are planning to do about it? You've probably seen what's happened in the news recently, that things are going to change once again for people wanting to do full-time van life in the UK, especially with regards to free camping. And it's all thanks to what's going on down in Bristol with the van dwellers down there. You may or may not know this, but apparently Bristol's got the most amount of van dwellers in the UK. And for the last year, what's been going on down there has been on and off in the news quite regularly with regards to van dwellers versus local residents and the public, and what it means and what it's representing and all the rest of it. And the result of it is, especially with two recent events, there might be some big changes afoot, which potentially will ripple effect across the whole of the UK for all van lifers. It's something that we want to go and check out for ourselves. So we're in our van, we're in a service station, we're about half an hour outside of the city of Bristol, and we're going to go and check it out. Let's go to Bristol and see what the hell is going on.
We're driving through quite an industrial part of Bristol by IKEA, and we've seen quite a few vans actually, so we're just going to pull over.
Well, we were just crossing into the city centre past IKEA, and then we went over this sort of flyway, and on the other one side of it you just saw loads of caravans and vans and what have you parked up. Wasn't expecting to see that, knew that there was somewhere around here like it, but not sort of what I've seen before outside of a campsite. It's probably the largest amount of caravans I've seen outside of a campsite in one space, and it's quite shocking to see. Actually looks like a mini campsite, but I think it's free camping. Actually, Janine even said, being full-time van lifers ourselves, this is industrial areas we've stopped at many times overnight, so I can understand how it started off, but this is part of the stuff that's making the news, the stories that are making the news. Clearly lots of people are in a situation where they're forced into doing van life. Unlike myself and my wife, we have chosen to do it as a life of trying to live a life of freedom, more freedom. A lot of these people here, one would assume, although I'm not judging whatsoever, are forced into it, given that the cost of living in England and the UK at the moment is ridiculous. Rent prices, the highest I think they've ever been, and mortgages, well, we all know what mortgages are like. It's a life of debt. So what other option do people have? And to see it on the ground here is quite fascinating, quite amazing. So you can see why people park there sort of semi-permanently, because you've got IKEA, you've got loads of shops nearby here, including the Tesco supermarket. So pretty much everything you're going to need in walking distance. So a good place to set up camp, I should imagine. For us, we're not actually going to stay here for the night. We're going to look and park for the night and go and find somewhere a bit more central. See if we can find somewhere a bit more central. I don't fancy our chances, but we're going to head there anyway to maybe more of a beauty spot and see what that's like. So these are all the park-ups in Bristol that are for free, potentially for free. But this is where you and I would park, probably is down by the river, by the bridge, near there. There's one spot I saw here called Seawalls, and it looks like a really nice beauty spot. Not too far away from the main town, but a nice spot anyway. Should we go and check it out?
Yeah.
Talking of security, it means a lot to us whilst we're doing full-time van life and travelling that we are protected whilst we're surfing online. That's why we use Surfshark VPN, which is a virtual private network. And what it does is it establishes a secure connection between you and the internet. And it's literally as simple as downloading an app onto whatever device you have. With Surfshark as well, it's just one account for all your devices. And what it does is it just protects you whilst you're surfing the internet, protects your information and everything from online hackers. But there's other benefits to having Surfshark VPN as well. So what we use it for as well, whilst we're traveling, and especially when we're in other countries, it means that using, just through toggling through the different countries, you can tell the internet that you're in a country that you're not. And the benefit of that is it means that you can access like the Netflix series that you were watching in the UK, but you might be in Europe now that you can't access it usually because of firewalls and what have you. Surfshark VPN breaks through that. So it's really, really good for continuing to watch the TV series that you were watching. But also we use it for traveling as well as another benefit, and it's a bit of a travel hack, that if you use Surfshark VPN and you toggle through the countries, you can once again tell the internet you're in a country that you're not, whilst booking public transport like ferries and planes. And that also sometimes gets you cheaper tickets. It's a great hack. Try it out yourself. Further to that, Surfshark offer a 30-day money-back guarantee. And for our audience right now, by clicking on the link in the description of this video, or go to surfshark.com/happy days, or scanning the QR code on the screen right now, you can get 4 months extra for free. So make sure you take advantage of that offer, and thank you to Surfshark for sponsoring this video.
We headed off to check out one of Bristol's unofficial campervan park-ups, understanding that this one probably won't be as popular as it's a little way out of the city centre. Driving through Bristol, you see why it has such an appeal, even from a touristy perspective. Street art is everywhere, not surprising as it's the home of the infamous graffiti artist Banksy. But the city is also the birthplace of Consort, Ribena, and even the world's first commercial bungee jump off the Clifton Suspension Bridge. With a strong student and music scene, which often go hand in hand, it's also home to trip hop and bands such as Massive Attack and Portishead. For me and Liam, Bristol first came into our wavelength with the gritty teen drama called Skins, which was set here, and we felt was the first TV series ever to actually represent what it was like being a teenager in the noughties in England. We made our way to the park up on the side of the road at the bottom of some huge cliffs.
Whoa.
Can we even fit through that?
Where we can turn around though. I mean, we can get through there, but we can't actually turn around.
Oh, yeah, you're getting through. Well done.
So this is one of the best that Bristol's got to offer for tall vehicles. So anything that's like taller than a couple of metres and what have you. And it ain't great at all, is it?
No. So this park up is actually, it's really nice. It's right by a river. However, it's not ideal because it's really far away from the town. And if you were to come here and want to go into the town for like a drink or something, you'd have to walk a very long walk back on a main road, a really busy main road as well. So for that reason, it's not ideal. But it is opposite the river and it's really pretty. Like these rocks, people are rock climbing here, and it's lovely.
So yeah, this might be a park up that we would usually come to, but it's a bit too far outside the city. It's a lot less urban, but that's because we're outside the city, heading towards the sea. So the problem in Bristol at the moment that's made the news recently is, of course, what you saw earlier with the sheer amount of VanLifers. That was one site. Apparently, according to the news, there's a lot of sites around the city where there's full-time VanLifers staying, full-time van dwellers. Some out of choice, I guess, a lot not out of choice. And if they're not in a van, then a lot of them probably would be homeless, and that would be even worse. So better they're off that being a van. From the local residents' perspective, maybe a bit unsightly. The local infrastructure is being used a lot more with regards to and amenities, with regards to bins overflowing, drains having human excrement put down it. This is all in the newspapers. Obviously, we haven't seen this, but you know, whereas some of it can be quite sensationalised, a lot of it could be true as well, given that people need certain amenities, certain facilities, like somewhere, if you're living in a van, you need somewhere to dump your toilet. You need somewhere to put your rubbish and fill it with water. They're the three things you really, really need. If the local councils aren't providing it, then it's going to cause problems. And so I understand from a resident's point of view what that might be like living near that. So what's happened recently on the news is a caravan's been burnt down and to the ground, like literally ashes left. And apparently it was intentional as well. Don't know what the intended reason was behind it. However, it's flagged up a lot, the whole issue again, symbolic of the whole situation. It's made the councils have to come to some sort of decision. And we'll talk about what the solution potentially will be. And it's not such a bad thing shortly. However, one thing that I did notice whilst reading these articles is that the local residents, or a local resident or a few local residents, and we've seen this elsewhere as well, say living in a caravan or living in a camper van is okay, but only at a campsite. Why don't they just go to campsites? So to explore that option, we are about to go to a Bristol campsite right in the city centre. It's called Baltic Wharf Campsite. and we're going to go and explore the option of van lifers like us going to a campsite, and you'll be surprised at what we're about to go and experience, I should imagine.
White light shining brighter than the sun, hits hard like a bullet from a gun. Won't somebody tell me what the hell is going on?
So here we are, this is Bristol city centre's campsite. So this is the option, apparently, for van lifers. So welcome to paradise. And I'm going to go and check in now, and I'll give you some information about this. There's one shocking factor about this campsite that I need to share with you, but I'll check in first and I'll tell you what that is in a second. The thing about this campsite is, it ain't in my opinion, it's not the prettiest of campsites. I didn't know that until we arrived. I didn't know what to expect once here. But we're at the end of February in the winter, so I would count as sort of off season, and it costs £53 to stay here overnight if you're a member. If you're not a member, it costs you something like £65 a night to stay in this campsite. And that's off season. In the summer, I should imagine, and I've seen online, the prices go higher than that as well. So that's what you get for a bit of gravel to put, and obviously what you get at campsites, toilets and showers and stuff as well. I think that is ridiculously high priced, don't you?
Yeah, that's so much.
It's shocked me when I saw that. We wouldn't ordinarily be staying here. This is the first time we stayed at a campsite in a long time, and we wouldn't ordinarily be staying here, but we're going to do it just to try it out. We also need to flush out our water system just to set everything all right. So we did need to access the motorhome service point here as well. So we're going to combine the both, maybe going to Bristol later on. But yeah, this is what a £50+ night campsite looks like in the middle of Bristol. So I'm going to drain the fresh water and the grey water. That's the grey.
Does it even go in it? So before we find our park up for the evening, I'm going to do a bit of a recce of the campsite. It's got a nice view of the river. It's right by the river. It's a kind of no frills campsite. There's not really much to it, so I'm going to show you the facilities, and the view's pretty nice. If you can get over this fence to the other side, there's a bit of a walkway, and that's quite nice. The Baltic Wharf campsite is run by the Caravan and Motorhome Club and is located right in the heart of Bristol's Dockland area. Tonight it's fully booked with all 55 pictures taken, and we literally grabbed the last spot. It has all your usual water and waste points, a chat bench for socialising, outdoor washing up area, and a small amount of sanitary facilities with showers. It's very basic and a little dated, however I personally thought it was okay. Okay, we've got showers, toilets, and like a little room where you can just have like a wash. But I rate these showers because they're not the pushy ones. You turn them on, but I'll have to test out. I'll see if they've got hot water actually. You turn these ones on, and there's no timer. Oh God. Oh, I don't know how I'm going to turn that off without getting soaking now. Oh, it's so nice and hot. Okay, I rate these showers. There's nothing worse than going somewhere and having a half-hot shower that cuts off every 2 seconds. Ah, yeah, showers are nice.
Look at that. First time at a campsite. First time using the electric hookup cable. That's a big one, isn't it?
Yeah,
Flipping heck.
we've been off-grid now for...
a long time.
Yeah.
I think we've been, yeah.
3 weeks.
We just don't need to go to campsites, but charging up the batteries in the winter is not a bad thing anyway. And I really need to get the water thing done. By the way, the water situation, the reason why we had to come to a campsite anyway was because our water doesn't taste very nice since we bought the van. So we're thinking that there was a little bit of water that was left at the bottom of the tank that really didn't taste nice, came from a dodgy source. I don't know. No one had used this before us for living in. It's a new conversion. But the water, despite us boiling it, never tasted good, and we tried it again 2 days ago and it still didn't taste good. So we've just flushed it out. So we're going to attempt to try a cup of tea in a second and see if it's actually done the job.
Okay, so we need to test this water. We're hooked up at our campsite now. First time ever in this van, and we're going to go have a cup of tea. And hopefully, fingers crossed, it's not going to taste horrible. So let's give it a go.
Dale tumbao, Tony. Ay, qué rico, rico. Camina.
Okay, so this is it. This is the test. There you go, Liam. This is the test.
The £50 test.
Yep.
Still doesn't taste right.
Really?
You drink it and you tell me what you think.
I can smell it. I can smell it, doesn't it? Yeah, that's not nice.
Right, we've got to do another test. Chuck those teas away
Yep.
because they don't taste nice at all. And I'm going to go and do a test just to make sure that we know it's our van and not the water. So I'm going to go and fill up that kettle from their tap.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And then we'll do that. That's a good test, right?
Yeah.
Escucha el bajo, baila y el güiro. Escucha el piano y el tres. Juega con mi ritmo, bailadores. Seguimos hasta el amanecer.
Okay, round 3. I don't know why I made 2 as well. Never mind. If
Go on.
it's... Okay, I'll give it a go. I don't know. No, that's all right. That's absolutely fine.
Let's give it a go. I'm glad you made 2 now then if it's absolutely
Yeah,
fine. That tastes absolutely fine. Yeah.
it's fine, isn't it?
Bugger.
Making the decision to flush the tanks again tomorrow, we went for an evening walk along the river and stumbled across an eatery called V Burger for chili cheese tater tots and an American style burger, all of which we shared, before grabbing a drink from a local bar and then back to the van for some much needed sleep.
Good morning from a very drizzly, wet Bristol. The rain came down last night heavily, probably the most amount of rain we've had in this van, but that was the first campsite we've had in this van as well, and it was really nice. We don't do campsites very often, and we really enjoyed it. The price is obviously the thing that's letting it down, but it's an all right campsite in a great location. That's all it is, but very expensive, too expensive. But that's nothing against the people that own it. If they're making a business, they can do what the hell they want, and it's up to people whether they come and stay here or not, whether they can afford it. But a lot of van life, as we know, can't afford it, and we are in that group of people as well, so it's not a viable option. So now you know that the option in Bristol for when locals say van life, it's all, I don't mind people staying in camper vans as long as they're in campsites. Now we know that the option is not viable at all. It's so expensive. So we're just going to go and check out something locally that's really, really cool apparently, and explain to you what the councils are going to be doing about this huge problem in Bristol at the moment, which we think could be pretty good. Ready to go?
Yep. Just a quick clean.
Quick clean, let's go.
Quick clean and then...
A break in the rain.
Yeah, I know. We need to get out there quick. Oh yeah, I remember this one now. He used the wall thing as her earring.
It's a fire alarm or something.
Fire alarm as her earring. It's really cool.
So good. There's people who've tried to sort of do Banksies around it. I don't know why, but they must have put this fence up to stop people from putting more up to protect the Banksy one.
Yeah.
It's awesome. So cool. So Bristol is an awesome city. We love Bristol. We come here quite often and we visit purely for the nightlife or for the food or for the artwork. It's just got a really good vibe about it. From a choice perspective, I can see why people visit here for tourism. But if you're a van dweller and you're working in the city, then obviously there's different reasons for being here, of course. There's obviously people living in vans for all different reasons. A lot of them don't have a choice, as we've said. And we've already explored the option of going to a campsite in the city, which is minimum £50 a night, which is just not affordable or viable. So what are the two things that Bristol Council are planning to do about about it. So the first thing they're planning on doing is setting up a committee to give a voice to the van dwellers in the city, which is really, really good, which means they're going to be fairly represented, or at least more represented than what they're being now in the media. So it's always a good thing. The second thing is they are talking about plans of having actual sites in the city, in and around the city, where van dwellers can go safely and park up for the night or for longer periods of time and empty their toilets, running water, you know, potentially even showers, much like the airs that we get in Europe. This is something that we have been wanting for a very, very long time. In Europe, if you've been obviously in a motorhome or a camper van or whatever, you can spend no money to a very small amount of money to get all of those things that I've just mentioned there. And if we started doing that in the UK, it might change the way that things are for the better in a very, very positive way. There's no point just ignoring the fact that lots of people live in vans for whatever reason that they do. You might as well do something about it, and it can only help the situation, in our opinion. So obviously something like that, if it works, would probably ripple across the whole of the UK, and they might start seeing the advantages about having sort of airs for people at part-time, full-time in vans, and on tourism and the local economy, because people do spend money wherever they go, and small businesses do benefit from it as well. So we see this as a positive step forward. We're going to keep an eye on it, and we really, really hope the situation in Bristol improves, and that people are watching all over the UK. That's why we've done a video about it, because we've got a platform with people watching, and it's good to see what positive things potentially might be happening in one part of the country that could happen across the rest of the country. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and we'll see you next time, because we are soon going to be going into Europe in our camper van and off to pastures new, places we've never been to before, and we can't wait. So we'll see you next time. Thank you for watching.
With you and I, the future